What's up, y'all? Welcome to Gravy Baby, my little gravy babies. Okay, so this week, if you didn't read the description, let me just let you know what's going on. Me and Carmen are both dealing with some different but similar personal things this week. Life's chaotic, etc., etc. Because my life's been chaotic, I recorded Well Read earlier than I usually do, and I recorded it with Smart Mark. Me and him just had a little conversation about current political affairs. He's a smart and interesting guy. We did that for Well Read, and then I decided, you know what, let's put it out for Gravy Baby 2, get a 2 for 1. I just stubbed my toe on one of Rozzie's toys. Oh, that hurts so bad. Damn you, Blue Donkey. Oh, I'm nauseous. That's how much it hurt. I think I broke my little toe. What I'm trying to say to you guys is I know some of you double dip. You already listened to Well Read. You've already heard the conversation. For those of you who that's the situation for, I do apologize that there's not actually new content this week. But for the rest of you, you're in for a treat. You're really going to like this. Like I said, I know a lot of you don't listen to Well Read, or maybe you just haven't yet. This is a really good conversation with a really smart guy about, you know, what we're living through. I think it's funny. I think it's informative. And I think you're going to love it. Also, the link is up for my show, Knoxville, July 25th. And Carmen didn't give me anything to plug. So that's it. I love you guys. And we'll see you out there in the real world or on the Discord. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Well Read podcast. We don't have the show today. We don't have Trey today. We have a very special guest. We'll get to that. But first, I don't think we have an intro song. So here's the intro song. We're the liberal rednecks. We like cornbread and butt sick. We care too much but don't give a fuck. We're the liberal rednecks. That makes some people upset. But we got 3 big old dicks that you can suck. Man, that's a great theme song.
It's fantastic, buddy. I love it.
Welcome to the Well Read podcast, Smart Mark. Welcome also to Petty 8 Cash Studios, where I'm usually recording Gravy Baby. We have quite the Well Read Universe crossover for you guys today. We are down a Cho. We are down a Trey. We are in the podcast home of Gravy Baby, my other podcast. And we, as a guest, we have Smart Mark from Trey's other, I guess we'll call it a video cast.
It's not a stream anymore because we don't do it live. But yeah, I finally got Trey to stop using that stupid nickname. I'm gonna beg you to stop using it too, please.
Well, part of the reason I have to use it is it's funny. We are joined with Alex today, helping us from the studio, and we appreciate him. I'm usually here with Mark, my quote unquote regular producer, and he is very jealous. He genuinely gets a little upset. He's like, wait a minute, who? What? So I'll stop using it.
He can have it. He can have it.
Well, I've been calling him Smarter Mark, actually.
There you go. It's better.
I didn't really believe it till I found out how much money he made on his quote unquote side hustle. He's way smarter than us, dude. Welcome to the Well Read show, Mark. Just so you know, me and the boys, generally speaking, haven't done I guess the news in a while, honestly, since Trey started Skews with you, but I am foaming at the mouth to talk to you about it. I'm sorry if that brings you down. I thought about trying to be more like Trey and just ripping whatever like the top thing on Reddit was and asking you about it. But the top thing on Reddit is what I'm going to ask you about. I have two things on my heart. And one of them, let's start. You're in LA, right? You are in the Valley, but you're in Los Angeles.
Yeah, but I've sort of lost track. Last time I was able to figure out what was going on, the protests were confined to a few blocks downtown around the federal courthouse and the intersection of like the 101 and the 10. It spread a little Tokyo a little bit, but it's still like it. It's 15 miles away from me. All right, this is like that. It's just sort of like I got people expressing concern for me, like yesterday and over the weekend, like texting me and stuff. And it's like, I don't know how to explain to you, like when the wildfire, I did say the same thing when the wildfires were happening, right? In order for the closest fire to get to me, it'd have to go through like a Galleria mall. So if it gets to me, society has fallen. Do you know what I'm saying? So I it's like, do not be concerned with me. Like, it's like, yeah.
in the movie, this would be part of the montage at the very beginning of the movie, and then they would cut to 3 weeks later, and you'd be like pouring blood out of your eyes, full zombie mode on top of the Galleria Mall roof with a rocket launcher.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess you're playing, I don't know, like, fighting house to house urban combat, like Mosul style. How long would it take the 700 Marines to get to Agora Hills, where I'm at, you think?
Well, since they're all really tired because they don't have decent quarters, decent barracks to sleep in, I think it's going to take them a while. For people who don't know, Mark is a writer and a comedian. He's also a former journalist. And as such, I always appreciate this. He is a fact-checking and fact-giving machine. But sometimes, like if you're bullshitting on a podcast, it can get in the way of me trying to just ask him how the vibe is. And he's like, literally, I can't tell you. I don't know. Like, existentially, I'm no closer than you are, Drew. I might as well be into the when it comes to the quote-unquote LA riots.
So if you go, like, so there are like live feeds of the protests you can go watch on YouTube where mostly nothing is happening, right? It's people standing around singing songs. There's literally hot dog vendors at the protests, right? Guys
Ain't
like
America.
Right. And then when you see edited clips, you see Waymos burning and people throwing rocks and shooting fireworks at the cops, right? And then you look at the news, and like, fuck, dude, I saw a clip of CNN earlier where Erin Burnett, like, I'm not accusing her of like, of doing this on purpose. I think she's just stupid and credulous, okay? But
man, I think I'd rather you could accuse me of doing something on purpose. Go ahead, though.
She's holding 40 millimeter rubber bullet rounds. And she looks in the camera and says, the protesters are firing these at cops. Where would a civilian get I don't even know where you get rubber bullets. The cops are shooting at those of the protesters, which you might think that's good or bad or whatever. I personally think it's bad, but it's definitely not true that the protesters have access to fucking rubber bullets.
That's so infuriating to me. And I'd like not to just like do it this way, but during the BLM stuff, we got fired upon. Andy got hit with one of those. I mean, and it fucked her leg up. And it honestly, like, it caused a lot of problems outside of that because that was the moment where her and her family had to really like have like you're so on that side, you don't care that I got shot with a rubber bullet, you know. Anyway, and I'll never forgive him for that as long as we're all alive.
People,
but
like,
my point is, it's so infuriating to lie or to be that wrong.
Right. And like, you shouldn't send somebody to essentially be a war correspondent, what's the way they're treating her, if she doesn't know what ammunition looks like. You know, like, it's like, this is where like when people talk about the media as being liberal, it's like, what you mean it's like coastally effect? And that's different from being like progressive in any way, shape, or form. She just doesn't know how guns work.
Right.
So, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, it's like the people. There was, the out of context clips of people shooting when I say mortars, I mean the firework mortars at like riot police. And I'm not sure, like, America's so big and so different culturally in different pockets. Like, other than most people speak English, Vermont and Southern California don't really have any fucking thing in common, right? A thing I'm not sure people realize here is that in Southern California, everyone has fireworks constantly. I've only lived 5 places in my life: Buckingham, Virginia, Fredericksburg, Virginia, where I went to college, Dallas, Fort Worth, Los Angeles, and New York. So I don't have a framework of everywhere, but LA is the only place I've lived where fireworks get set off regularly for every occasion. I'm not just talking about July 4th or New Year's. I mean, like, the Dodgers win a big game.
I'll throw it in there. Miami's the other place. We could talk about what the cultural overlap may be, but continue.
Yeah. Certainly the people flying Mexican flags at protests are like it's like, whereas that's the one flag. You talk about Miami. Every time I see any event in Miami, there's Puerto Rican pride flags and Cuban flags, right? Yeah. But apparently, if you fly a Mexican flag in Los Angeles, it's an act of war. Or, dude, I've seen so many fucking insane takes. The amount of people that think the history started like 3 weeks ago, like some fucking racist mega dipshit was like, you don't see the Irish and the Italians rioting. I'm like, well, not since like 2006, maybe. But are you seriously sitting here like the Irish have never engaged in violent political resistance? Is that really the position you're
it's the greatest thing about them?
Right. And not even just there. The fucking the draft riots in the Civil War almost burned down New York.
Dude, if you look at their food, you look how they dance, much to my chagrin, if you listen to their rap music, they're not great at stuff. But man, the Irish, my people, are really, really, really good at violence aimed at the people who deserve it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a nice sideswiping Kneecap here. And so this Drew's alluding to a conversation we had about he wished Kneecap were better at rapping because he really supports everything else about them.
Oh, they know about it, dude. I've been bringing it up. They're well aware.
Okay.
I've been trying to do it in just a bit. Most people don't even know who Kneecap is. It's like, except for the kids, and the kids are like, what the fuck's this old guy even talking about? It's really great. I love it. Well, yeah, everything about this is and will just remain, I think, mostly infuriating in terms of how the media portrays it, how the public receive it. One thing that I think is interesting, I'm not saying immediately, and I'm not saying my parents' generation. You cannot convince me that over time, if dudes with abs, a lot of them have abs, that helps. It comes to what I'm about to say. If dudes with abs are on top of cop cars shooting at riot police with fireworks, eventually the youth are going to be like, it's pretty cool. It's pretty funny. Those dudes are pretty rad.
Yeah, I can't figure out, something I've realized is I just fundamentally don't, one thing I don't fundamentally don't get about the average person, or my brain just works differently at them, is I'm not as offended or thrown off by chaos as they seem to be. At all.
Yeah.
They see pictures of got people running around in the streets waving flags, and the average person's like, somebody ought to stop that. And I'm like, what? I don't fucking understand. What does it bother you?
Especially if you are much more than 15 miles away. I mean, that's the other thing about this too. And, I have a bit about this when it comes to Portland that is, that went viral a few years ago. Trey has a similar concept on his new special. It's like, are we pussies out here on the coast? Or is it the most dangerous place in America? You have to pick one. Mm-hmm. Fox News and my father-in-law and everyone, it literally can't be both. It can't be just full of the biggest, most effete, afraid of their own shadow, gluten intolerant, complaining about the sun, whatever liberal you want to describe, and then also a war zone full of anarchists who have, it's one or the other, dude. It's got to be.
I think the way they'd frame it is that the coastal Caucasian libs in charge are soft pussies, and therefore the streets have been taken over by Mexican gangs, right? But even then, which group are the cops trampling people with horses in?
And also, if that were true, how would it last this long in terms of there not being a tip in the balance one way or the other? I could see that dynamic playing out for a year, but eventually, if the people in charge didn't get the people in the streets who you're saying are chaotic and out of control to heal, they would take over. It's just it's functional or worded.
How is a state full of farmers markets that has if it was its own country, would it have the 8th largest economy in the world?
Oh, I thought it was 7th. Who passed us?
I don't, maybe just say it's the same. Which one of those? It's the top 8. It's bigger than France last time I saw, right? Also is a hellhole where nothing functions. It's very weird to me. I'm not saying California is perfect. If I had a magic wand, I get, there's 10 things I could fix off the top of my head. But what it's not is it's not some fucking, it's not whatever people's mental image of Haiti is or whatever. It's not that. It's such a weird place and time to be alive.
Yeah, it's been a weird place and time to be alive since at least 2020, probably 2019. Before that, but that's really, it's been insane. We all, if we found out this is a simulation, I'm gonna be so furious. There's a real dickhead just fucking with me right now. We can sort of move on to another political topic if you want, if you don't mind. I guess before we do, let me say this, and I'll get your response too. I don't want to say my big opinion and then move on. I know that a lot of folks listening have listened to Well Read for a long time, and a lot of you kind of miss that we don't do politics as much. This is me. I'm not speaking for Trey and Corey, and I'm certainly not speaking for my guests. I'll let him do that. I think one takeaway for the people listening right now here, obviously Donald Trump is, I mean, he's not just flirting with fascism. I mean, this guy is trying everything he can in his power to do it without, being called out in a major way. And I think you're all aware of that. But please stop. If nothing else for me, just don't do it publicly anymore. Please stop talking about what he can and can't do. Because the whole point of raising the F word, fascism, the whole point of like sounding the alarm that it's scary and we need to actually do something. What you're saying when you say that is, hey, there's a guy who doesn't care about the rules. So when all of you are gathered around your keyboard saying, I looked it up, he's not allowed to do this. Okay, but literally the whole point of the conversation we're trying to have right now is he doesn't care. So stop saying that. Stop fucking saying it was a foul, ref. The ref is on the take. He plays for the other team. He does not give a fuck. Move on to whatever your next move is, whether that be protect your family or get in the street yourself or fucking do drugs and ignore what's going on. But stop telling me this guy's breaking the rules. That is why we're talking about it. We know. It's why we're in the room right now together. Sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I mean, if you think like, I'm not like, I won't totally let go of that critique because it is sort of,
Sorry.
like one, he's lost like 73% of his court cases, and they are abiding by most of the rulings, not because Trump gives a shit, because there are people who work for him are going to be alive after he's gone who don't want to fucking when the court comes back and says, actually, you can't do that, they go to him and be like, court ruled against us. We probably shouldn't do that. And he probably loses, but they don't want to, like, you ever seen, there's a TV series a couple of years ago, Julia Roberts was in it, called Gaslit. You ever seen it? You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
It's about Watergate. And at the end, but the White House attorney who flipped on Nixon, I can't remember his name, but anyway, they're all standing around in prison. Patton Oswalt's in it too, plays one of the Nixon's henchmen, and they're sitting around a white collar prison. They look up at a billboard with Richard Nixon's face, and they go, and Patton Oswalt's character, somebody's like, oh, he's gonna get him, Tricky Dick, he's got that one up his sleeve, and the main guy, he's like, do you guys not get it? We're Nixon, fucking idiots. It was us. We did the shit. He's just the guy on the billboard. And like, I think about that, like those guys do have to worry about going to prison, even if Donald Trump's going to die a super corrupt billionaire in office. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I just, all right, everyone, Mark's wrong. Let's go. No, I think it's a little dangerous when you're fighting so underhanded as we are right now.
Sure.
To wrap yourself in the Constitution. Because the reason we're having this conversation is that he's trying everything he can to get around it. Now, I respect what you're saying, truly. Let's not stop with those critiques. That I get. I guess for me, I'm really saying, let's let go of the fact that it's enough to point it out. Let's let go of the notion, that there's somebody going to do something. Well, not if we don't win the next election. Well, not if, you know what I mean? Like, no one's going to do anything about it unless, we make them, in my opinion.
If you're saying, like, open your mind, shift your personal Overton window to be a little more tolerant of violent resistance, I'm with you there. Right. But I like, that's why I'll be like, I don't really care that in the middle of a mass protests about 4-year-olds being kidnapped off school playgrounds, I don't really care if somebody throws a rock in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying?
I do. You should be doing it if you're out there.
Right. Okay.
And if you can't, whether, you can't do that because of like, you can't go to jail because you got a kid or whatever, that's fine. But like, no, I think in some sense we're on the same page, except maybe there's a slight difference. I genuinely think it's dangerous to assume that those guys are worried about that. those guys you're talking about. Now, I'm not saying those guys shouldn't be worried about that. I'm not saying those guys won't potentially face the consequences of what's going on right now. I'm saying I don't think they currently believe it, and we're in a scary situation because of it.
Can I point out one specific thing that happened?
Oh, sorry, we're out of time. Let's hear a word. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. But
so when Trump deployed the 200 National Guard guys on Sunday or whatever, he did not use the Insurrection Act. He used some other different federal law that allows the president to federalize the National Guard specifically to guard federal buildings, and that's what they did. Like I'm saying they say they're trying to find loopholes in a lot of laws, but what they're not doing is, in some respects, is completely violating. Like it's a little bit clever by half. I'm sure they were hoping somebody would shoot at the National Guard people while they're on federal grounds, then they'd violate the law and leave the federal building and fight back or whatever. But it didn't happen. I'm not sure to assume Trump has any other plan other than looking tough for the next 10 minutes is always a little bit, yeah.
I agree with that. I do think, though, that the people you were talking about have a plan. I also want to remind everyone that up top, I pointed out how paradoxically great and painful it is that Mark sticks to facts just so intently. It really, really elucidates every situation to the point where by the end you're like, I don't even know what we were talking about. I agree with him. And I appreciate that as an attorney and a guy who loves facts. We are going to move on, but we've come so close to the halfway mark. I'm going to keep this going just a little bit. I know that you're not down there, you're not around, but I also know that you have friends, you got texts and all that. What is the vibe? Compare it to when the Black Lives Matter protests were going on and cop cars were being set on fire in 2021.
That was pure chaos. This is like TV telling me there's chaos and there's not a lot. It's like I'm not sure how many people are in the streets around the federal building right now. I've seen pictures that look like maybe like 500. I've seen pictures that look like maybe like 50. So I don't fucking know. But those protests were all over. Let me give you an example of like what fucking chaos 2020 was. Okay. I flipped past local news one time, even though I usually avoid it. Local news is a fucking nightmare, especially here. And this lady is standing in front of a liquor store reporter, while the liquor store owner or a guy who works there is holding like a 22 target rifle in his offhand, his left hand, right hand nowhere near the trigger or anything. He's arguing with the guy who's trying to come in his store, and he's telling him he can't come in. The news lady is yelling about this breathlessly, and it's not a great situation. I meant that. Apparently, what had happened was the store thought the guy had been part of a group that like run into a Boost Mobile and jacked a bunch of cell phones. He thought they were coming to like grab liquor at his store and run out.
It's like, what are you supposed to do for Boost Mobile? It's in the name. You're supposed to steal it and then go mobile, run away.
The reporter, because TV news reporters think they're deputy cops, right? There's a cop zooming past with lights and sirens on, and she flags him down. The cop screeches up behind, jumps out the car. The guy was trying to go in the store. The customer runs away. The cop runs up and tackles the fucking store because he has a gun, while the reporter is yelling, no, you're getting the wrong guy, because she's a deputy cop. And I'm like, what the fuck do any of you think you're doing? The store is the only one of any self-control in the situation. He's holding a gun. And
I would argue the customer was in control of his situation because he recognized it's time for me to leave, and then he got out of there.
And
that's such a great story.
Trying to piece together what had happened.
Yeah.
Is like some influencer. This is happening in Van Nuys, like where a place I lived at the time was like a city and a half over. Okay. So like this little suburban city over.
For people who give a shit, I lived one city over from that, and then Trey lived one city over from that.
And so some influencer in Van Nuys had announced on their Instagram there was going to be a BLM protest, right? So the cops got their fucking dicks up, their blood up. The people who use the cover of like protests to do stuff like jack Boost Mobile, those people were already set in motion. So was the anxiety of the store owner with the gun. But somebody got a hold of an actual BLM organizer, for which these protests don't really have much organization, but that's another whole issue. But like, she was like, no, there's no protest in Van Nuys. What are you guys talking about? The influencer's just doing it for clout. So no protest actually happened, but the cops zooming around the streets, a reporter standing there, and a guy's jacking Boost mobiles. And there was nothing associated with BLM going on at all.
Were they arresting the guys boosting the Boost mobiles, or were they letting it happen because they were afraid they needed to focus on the riot later?
They were on the hunt for the secret riot nobody could find while the guy was jacking Boost mobiles.
God, I love that, dude. I love that. The day Andy got shot, and this was in the same time period in Venice, we walked through an area where a lot of looting was going on by people who had nothing to do with the protest.
Right.
And there were police there just kind of watching.
Huh?
And I saw that first, and I naively, even cop-hating, super communist me was like, God damn, I don't know what we're about to get into, but if they're just letting these kids steal all these shoes, it must be gnarly over here. And then you get over there, and it was kind of like you said, at least at first, it was a lot of people holding hands and singing songs. And
yeah, the cops want the looting. That's the thing. Nobody between the LAPD and LA Sheriff's Department, they have some close to 100 people working in public relations, right? They know how to control the media narrative. They know the local news is going to be on their side. They want you to have photos of the video of looting. They'll stand there and watch it happen. They got caught in 2020, LAPD, parking old cop cars that didn't run on streets that were going to abandon so people would burn them and you get the newspaper footage.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I know those self-driving cars got burned out there. Let me tell you guys right now. Let me tell you what's happening right now. You can tinfoil at me, you, Mark, or the audience, whoever. Planetar or whatever however you pronounce this AI company that very much government to give them permission to read all of our information is chomping at the bit right now, and I 100% believe they're trying their best in any way that they can to make this worse and look worse than it is. And this fucking worm Gavin Newsom, who I know is right now a big hero because he got on TV and said arrest me like a big brave boy. That fucking worm is going to be in on it. You got 2 minutes to respond to that if you want to, Mark.
Well, I hadn't thought about it. We talked about, we recorded SKUs. The SKUs is dropping later. When is this going to drop?
Who knows, brother?
Okay. So we talked about the Waymo stuff. And the way people are freaking out about it, you got to understand, the mainstream centrist Dem pundits, who are a lot of whom who work for the Obama administration, but now on the payroll of Silicon Valley companies, are really offended by the burning of the Waymos, which is Google's robotaxis. Okay, you're going to see a speed run through the California State Legislature to give Waymos there's going to be a Waymo personhood amendment.
Oh yeah, they'll be votes in. They'll deputize him, and now you've killed a cop.
Well, the funny thing you thought, this is the part I hadn't thought about. So Waymo, they use cameras for a lot of their navigation. They've been caught turning over footage from Waymos, just volunteering footage to cops without warrants or whatever.
Oh yeah, that if the protesters burned them, it's because they knew that those are going right to the cops, guys.
Well, they summoned them to burn. The LAPD had asked them to turn off the app because the robots kept getting showed up to be destroyed. And Trey made his point, but I'm almost stealing from him. There's no more victimless of a crime, even a property crime, than burning a car that belongs to nobody except Google.
Yeah, it is in every sense the right thing to do.
Well, I think it's probably a nothing thing to do, but I can't really get mad about it.
100% it's morally correct, Mark. I'm going to tell my little Waymo story. This is my only personal Waymo story, and then we're going to go to break. And it's 100% the morally correct thing to do, and I stand by that. That is a pure evil company doing a pure evil thing. At best they're going to replace all our taxi drivers and make them homeless. But I was in San Francisco partying with my buddy Pierre, and at some point we were at this DJ or whatever, and Pierre just starts railing what I thought was coke beside me, and I was like, what's that? And he goes, oh, it's ketamine. And I was like, oh, fuck, I like ketamine. So I took me a little bump, right? I was like, who's your buddy? He goes, I don't know. I just met this guy. I was like, what the fuck? And by the way, that is what it's like when you party with super smart, rich, San Francisco tech people who are not on the policy, make the business. Who are just I don't know, I make robots. They are highly functional and sane people, and try not to party with them unless you want to have too great of a night. So now we're blasted on ketamine and we've been drinking. We get in this Tesla, and he's like, don't worry about it. And he puts self-driving mode on. Now you got to understand, I'm out of my mind at this time. I'm already like, what the fuck have I gotten in? What is Appalachian Drew doing right now? I'm about to go from San Francisco to Oakland. It's a 30-minute drive at night without traffic. And this self-driving Tesla is what I'm trusting. Now, this is everyone hating Elon Musk, but I already hated him. I've hated him from the jump. You can go back. I've already hated him. I'm like, fuck this. And then fast forward 5 minutes, I guess the alcohol took over. My ass fall asleep. I'm just sleeping in this self-driving car, which is in and of itself some sort of dystopian nightmare. And I guess Pierre got lonely or whatever. He just smacks me on my chest, and I come up, and I'm like, what? And he goes, look. And I turn, and there's 3 Waymo cars following each other, doing some sort of training, where the lead car is driving with his camera, and the back 2 are literally mocking its moves. Nothing has ever scared me more in my life than to wake up from a ketamine-induced coma, not really be sure where we are. My drug friend say, look over here, and there's 3 self-driving, there's driverless cars next to me. It really looked like I'd conjured something up in the Minority Report sense. I almost vomited into the car. They don't have a self-driving.
Yeah, I'm not really. I get the idea behind, like, if in theory, if every car was a robot car, it would pretty much eliminate car accidents, right? I get the idea. If they work, they don't really work that great. So instead, what you have them do is be confused by human drivers and then crashing into shit, or
and giving ketamine people nightmares. I mean, if Pierre had been in the state I was in, he'd have woke up and swerved his Tesla into him, and then we'd have both died. We got to go to break on that very, very positive note. We will be right back after you hear from me, letting you hear from our sponsors. What's up, everybody? It is springtime, fresh air, sunshine, allergies if you got them and you live in the South like me, but also it's good food time. That's what springtime is all about. As we go into summer, even better time for cookouts. Well, we're here to tell you today about HelloFresh, making it easier to fit quick, home-cooked meals into your schedule every week by curating delicious recipes like pasta primavera or chicken Dijon or pecan-crusted trout, as well as over 100 seasonal snacks, sides, and treats. Every HelloFresh meal uses high-quality ingredients, including seasonal fresh produce and proteins that travel from the farm to your doorstep. We have flexible delivery times. You can pause or skip when you need. It is very affordable, but more important, I think, than that, it is convenient without compromising on taste, health, or homemade quality. The new ready meals offer chef-crafted, flavorful dishes that are ready in just 3 minutes, so you can dig in and then get outside and get your work done or just have some me time. Now, as you guys know, Trey usually does the HelloFresh spots because he and Katie have been fans and customers for many years. But what you may or may not know or remember that I like to do HelloFresh and I like to vary it. I like to do their other meal plans, their alternative ones. They got one that's high protein when your boy's bulking. I like to get in on that. They also have a vegetarian one. Am I a vegetarian? No, but I like to pretend I am one for a week. Sometimes I want to know what it feels like to be the man my father accuses me of being. So I eat nothing but vegetables for a week and I pray to the Buddha. Anyway, point is, it's time for you to feel great with meals that fit your spring schedule and make this season even more delicious. You can go to HelloFresh.com/wellread10FM. That's WELLRED, the number 10 FM stands for free meals, to get 10 free meals with a free item for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as a discount on first box to new subscribers only, and it varies by plan. Today we are also sponsored, and I'm actually genuinely excited to tell you all about this, by Magic Mind. You can get a 60% off discount with Magic Mind with our link. I will put it in the description. That is at magicmind.com/wellread60. You can use the code wellread60. Now, what is Magic Mind? You may be asking yourself. How much do you rely on caffeine? If you're like me, all the time. If you're like my wife, it's kind of a joke at this point. I mean, I know everyone hates those. Don't talk to me till I've had my coffee, but I literally can't stand her until she gets it into her body. I know all of you out there are probably somewhere in between, whether you're going to work, you got the kids, I got my podcast, whatever you're doing. I've probably tried every energy booster out there. I've definitely done energy drinks. I've done green tea with my hippie wife. It claims to give you focus, and I guess some of them do. But recently, I tried Magic Mind because they sent us a bunch of it, and I got to tell you, whatever they're telling you on that bottle, it's true. It's giving you focus. You're not crashing. I guess I just always thought caffeine was caffeine, like you spike and you crash, but I guess they figured it out. They put new tech into it. They've sent 2 different types to us. They've sent it with caffeine and a lot of other nutrients and vitamins. You don't crash. It is an energy boost. And then they also sent me one that was focused, and it said caffeine free on it. I got an energy boost out of that. The brand is called Magic Mind. They reached out a few weeks ago. They said, hey, if you try our shots, I think you're going to like them. And I said, listen, give me one with caffeine and one without. I want to do both because sometimes it's like 3 p.m. and I need something without caffeine in it. They gave us both. I loved it. Genuinely. I tried every shot they have over the last week, and I got to tell you guys, I like them all. My favorite one, though, is the caffeine-free one. So I think you guys should try it. Point being, sorry, they wanted me to read this. Max has 165 milligrams of caffeine. Your boy only did that one once. I'm going to be honest with you. I heard colors talk, but Andy loves it. If you're a caffeine freak, get on that. Okay? They got the regular one, and then they got the free, and I like that one in the afternoon. So right now you can get any and all of that. Magic Mind's doing a limited time launch offer. You get 60% off your subscription with our link or QR code. That's a lot. Okay, there's zero risk because they do offer a 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked. So if you're out there and you're drowning in your to-dos or whatever, and you're running on fumes and coffee's either giving you a headache or making you crash, this is the time to try something different. Try Magic Mind. You can cancel anytime, full refund if it's not your vibe. You better act fast because this will not last very long. And to get 60% off, I wanted to read it again. That is magicmind.com/wellread60 and or use the wellread60 code at checkout. Thank you, Magic Mind, for sponsoring the podcast. Thank you for sponsoring my focused afternoons. Man, I'm on one right now. That's why I'm so wangy, Mark.
I just want, before you, as we prepare to move on, I guess this news alert from the LA Times, okay, and they're trying to debunk all the conspiracy theory horseshit going on. Your article's headlined like, no, LA's not a war zone. And like, you get a vibe here. One of the fact checks is like, they're like, actually, LA County is 500 square miles.
Yeah.
But one of them was, just to give you the vibe of the horseshit, like the exaggerated horseshit that's going on, okay, so there's a protest outside of a hotel in Pasadena. I guess ICE agents are staying there. And the rumor that the ICE agents were actually harassing and rounding up the employees of the hotel, which is apparently not happening. And the reason given is like, basically, well, they're staying at the hotel.
Yeah, we gotta leave them alone. They're gonna clean our shit.
We gotta get our rooms clean, guys.
You think we're idiots?
Yeah, it's like, okay, so is there an immigration problem or not? There's not, you fucking moron. Yeah.
Dude, we're out here kidnapping 4th graders because 4th graders legally aren't allowed to fold a sheet. We're not stupid. Okay? This 3rd grader don't even know how to make fucking pizza or Chinese food. What kind of shitty Mexican is he? We got him out of here. All right, the next very political topic I wanted to talk to you about is the Freedom Flotilla. For those of you who don't know, maybe you're living under a rock. There is genocide going on. You can look it up if you disagree with me. Go read about it, and you won't. Going on in Israel. Israel is not allowing aid in, so 12 individuals, diplomats, influencers, one of which was Greta Thunberg, which is how she pronounces it, got on a ship with aid to go and break the siege and deliver aid to the Palestinians because Israel's not letting them have any. Now, Mark, that was a minefield I just walked you through. I don't expect you to comment on all of it. My first question to you, and I'll answer it too when you're done, just so we can all play. Do you think this accomplishes much? And if so, what? And for those of you who may not know, they were aborted, captured, taken to Israel. We'll get into what happened when they got there. And then some of them were deported. A few of them, I think, were kept. We'll get into that, I guess, too. Do you think this accomplished much for the Palestinians? And if so, what?
So I think Greta, I saw an interview she gave where she landed back in Charles de Gaulle in Paris. She got sent to Paris. I'm not sure where she's at right now. By accomplished much, like, I'm not sure. The point of this, like, my favorite critique of this was like, oh, it's just a publicity stunt. Are you telling me the protest was an attempt to get attention? That's crazy. And yes, they're getting Instagram followers and stuff, but I'm hearing that criticism from Congress people who have fucking podcasts. So, like, what the hell are you talking about? You can't do anything in the world without clout in 2025.
Oh, it's so hollow. If I could just chime in there on that real quick, and then I'll let you go on. That critique comes from two places. One, a really sinister, just dark, just bullshit. Like, let me throw any critique at people just to try and stop this. Or it's just utter projection. There's people who I will call out by name. There's comedians I like who I've heard a similar thing or make jokes on stage. Jordan Jensen is someone I respect very much. She did a thing like this. Tim Dillon does it all the time, where it's like, these people are just doing this for attention. And it's like, just because that's your pathology, just because you've had to go into a career in which you get validated by strangers every 30 seconds doesn't mean everyone is built like that. And I'm not saying there's no ego to Greta Thunberg or any of these other people. I'm not saying that ego doesn't exist at all. I am saying that, like you pointed out, the idea that we're doing this for attention, yeah, that's exactly what we need right now because we're not soldiers. So attention, this is how we fight. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, it's like, it's like, it's sort of like, what, if they're doing something just to get attention, that's a fair criticism. But like, Greta has like devoted her life through different forms of activism.
No,
and, like,
it's
like
been a decade.
Right. So like you can disagree with her causes or whatever if you want, but like to think like, oh, she's only caring about starving children for class. I seriously doubt that's the case, especially when, here's the thing, guys, being on the other side pays so much better.
Oh my God, if you're just wanting attention, buddy, I got a way to get it for you. This reminds me of a debate I was having with a comic about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. He was feeling like Angel Reese was constantly comparing herself to Caitlin Clark and saying she was her, what's the word? Antithesis? No, not antithesis. Nemesis.
Nemesis.
And all that. And he was like, she's just doing that for attention. It's pathetic, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, look, I agree that she's not as good as Caitlin Clark, but she's not saying that in interviews for clout. She believes it because she is a top athlete and that is how their brains work. No one would go on TV and say that just for clout because it's too embarrassing. And also the clout she's got is getting her death threats. And wildly, this is similar. And I say wildly because I can't believe Angel Reese is getting as many death threats as Greta Thunberg, but she almost is. It's like, oh, she did it for attention. Death threats? Is she getting death threats and you're telling me no part of her wanted this? The only thing I wanted to add about, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I saw somebody earlier, this WNBA analyst, she does the NBA too. I can't think of her name right now, but she was talking about what a weird rivalry this is. And the analyst making this argument was couching it very carefully. And for context, she's a black woman, because there's a racial element to all this. And someone pro-tweeted, is like, let me translate. This is like if there was a rivalry in the NBA between Steph Curry and Clint Capella, right? It's like, the racism, like fucking Caitlin didn't do anything to court this. Neither did Angel. They just have a rivalry going back to college where they just don't like each other. And because Angel's team beat Caitlin's team in the national championship game, the Final Four, I forget which, a couple of years ago, and they talked a lot of shit to each other. All that's in bounds. It's perfectly fine. Caitlin just happens to be much better at the game of basketball than Angel, which is also perfectly fine because Caitlin is going to be one of the best women's basketball players of all time. She's not already, right?
Right.
But
that was my buddy's point. But I said to him, I was like, yeah, I just think Angel doesn't know that.
She shouldn't be. You're not supposed to like not let the other person win just because the world tells you this says they're better than you. They're just supposed to fucking have an ego. That's all fine.
Exactly.
It's the stupid Barstool fans who get into sports just to bet on them and are mad at Angel for not making their parlay hit and are turning it into a race war.
I'm imagining fans of Well Read right now who have been just clamoring for some politics for so long and loving that first segment. And finally, we're talking about heavier thought topics. And then we moved to Israel-Palestine, which a lot of them wanted us to avoid. And now we're doing sports, and they're just fucking, they're just fuming right now. They're like, well, hey, at least it's women.
Right. Okay, but at least it's woke, right? But yeah, it's just like this is part of like the cultural warrification of everything is politics.
Yes,
like,
and that sucks, and that's very sad. Yeah. And on that note, to answer my own question, to me, the best thing that this has done, and I'm very frustrated with most of the media for not leading with this, although I got some theories as to why they may not. But even some people who I think have been right in the past have, I think, missed an opportunity here. Israel has been claiming for a long time that the reason aid is so slow is because of Hamas. At every turn, it's either Hamas intercepted it or we have to be really careful because Hamas will do this and Hamas that. We cannot give food. These people were starving because of Hamas one way or the other. And then this Freedom Flotilla goes in there and they're like, well, we'll give them food then. Don't worry about it. We'll take the risk. And then who stopped them? Hamas, right? No, wait, sorry, no. Israel did. And they kidnapped them. And then they made them watch, or they tried to make them watch a documentary about October 7th. Did you read about that?
No.
So according to Greta, when they got, brought into Israel before they got deported, what they tried to do, and I think they even released that they did this, was they're like, all right, we're going to make you watch footage from October 7th. And the reason I'm laughing is Greta was like, no. And they didn't think of that. They were like, oh, right. Like, I can't torture her they didn't know what to do. So then they just said, she's refusing to, face the truth and all that stuff, which is hilarious to me because I'm like, well, I wish she would have watched it. So she could have come out and been like, and guess what? There were no babies. Certainly not 40 of them.
Yeah, I wanted to include like the Hannibal directive footage from the helicopters, them machine gunning their own soldiers so they couldn't be taken alive.
Real footage, everyone, look it up.
Yeah, so let's see. My feelings about I get it's all very complex until you start shooting children who are by themselves walking towards food, right? And to me that's not a very complicated situation at all. And my perspective, let's move morality from it for a second. There are a bunch of people in power around the world who are behaving very self-destructively and stupidly, even for the merits of their own position, out of a need to feel in charge. It's respect my authority all the way down, even if it damages your cause. If I'm in like the pitch meeting where Shin Bet and Mossad are fucking talking to the prime minister or the defense minister or whatever, I'm like, guys, why are we picking a fight with a teenager? Well, Greta's got to be in her 20s now, but like this young woman with millions of Instagram followers, whose goal, if completed by our own, like the best thing that happened to us is we let her through and Hamas kills her.
Right.
What's the worst case?
I guarantee you they talked about killing her and blaming it on Hamas.
Right. But they didn't even do that. They just boarded it. Did you see Trump's quote about it?
Marks. You're not even killing 20-year-olds and blaming your enemy anymore, idiots.
No, but I'm saying it's like they don't.
What the hell happened to the Mossad? They used to be a respectable institution who knew that.
I'm saying they're not even behaving like they're like we're gonna sink Greta Thunberg's boat. I'm like, why are you fucking saying that out loud in the news, you stupid motherfuckers? Like you can't do it now because you said you're gonna do it. And also so the best case scenario if you're Israel, what happens is Greta gets there and Hamas kills her to steal the food, right? Or what's the worst case scenario for you? She delivers the amount of food that could be carried on that fucking half a yacht? What is the risk to Israel?
I think what they were afraid of is that she does that and then she's called a hero and she goes and everyone on there goes and says what they saw and then other people will do it. And then if they don't have a starved population, I mean, I think at some point or on some level, again, color me, whatever you want to color me, tinfoil or super left wing, at some point we have to understand there's a pathology to the Israeli leadership right now that is absolutely unhinged and divorced from anything reasonable when it comes to morality and probably to some extent logic. And I think that explains the sort of thing. There are people in the Mossad right now who are you? And I don't mean you're like them, but I just mean they're going, what the fuck are we doing? But they're looking at a leadership who has some of the same goals as them, but is insane. You know, this is like our version of this is Supreme Court Justice with John Roberts being mad at Trump, going like, dude, we're this fucking close to having everything we want. Why are you fucking this up for us? And weirdly, both here and there, that is our only hope at the moment, in my opinion, is that there's just idiots. It's all the way down.
They went to they had I actually read Project 2025 last year, and it's just truly frightening. But they had a well choreographed plan laid out to destroy the regulatory state, establish something approaching a permanent Republican majority, permanently control the courts, yada yada yada, outlaw abortion, get rid of the National Weather Service, all this shit. But it was like it was within the course of like 4 to 8 years. Elon came in because he's bored and high on drugs, tried to do it all in like 15 minutes. Now they're trying to establish authoritarianism with federal police agencies that have like 8 guys working there. And it's like, nobody thought through any of this shit. It's like, fuck, that's why they're going to bring in the Marines. Is like, we got rid of all the woke people at the FBI, which turns out was most of them. And now like, we're trying to we move the rest of the FBI people to ICE. Now nobody works for the FBI. So who's going to investigate the people throwing rocks at the ICE agents that used to be FBI? It's like, it's not a good plan.
Well, I mean, the problem was that I share your joy in that they're incompetence, but the issue is they're going to go, yep, and that's exactly why we had to get rid of habeas corpus. We just can't trial these people throwing rocks, but we know they did it, and so they're going to prison for 17 years, and you guys just have to trust us. And that takes me back to the point I was making at the top of the hour. Thank you for finally agreeing with me, Mark. Stop pointing at the rule book, because these people have a new book. But it took, no, I mean, that's a joke, but it is true to a certain extent that Project 2025 and Trump, like if you put them, next to each other, you're like, oh, Trump's way better in a lot of ways than this because of his incompetence, because of his ego, because of all this stuff. But how much better should that make me feel, Because eventually these people are ruthless. Don't you think they'll kill him?
Yeah, I mean, so did you follow, they arrested David Huerta yesterday, who's the head of the Service Employees International Union, or one of the leaders of it?
They charged him with conspiracy, right?
Obstruction of federal law enforcement, I think.
It was conspiracy to obstruct federal, which is wilder.
Yeah, so
4 years, I think, is why they did it, but and also because they don't have to prove he did anything that day, just that he was planning to, but it's much harder to prove. Sorry, go ahead.
So I was trying to figure out, I saw different news reports saying he did vastly different things. One article said that he had parked his car in a way that blocked like an ICE vehicle. So this is all in relation to ICE raids, either at like a t-shirt, a clothing factory, a fast fashion factory or whatever, where like immigrants are working sewing t-shirts or whatever, or the courthouse where they're rounding people up who are there for immigration hearings. The ICE blocking the car was one report I saw was at the fashion warehouse, and the other one was like he was interfering with ICE, trying to arrest people at the courthouse or whatever. But then like he got set free, he got bail pretty quickly like that, right? They charged him with that whatever the charge, he up to 6 years in prison, where they charged him with. But then the charging documents come out, the affidavit, and it says what he did was like bang on a fence at the fashion factory. That's what he was arrested for, banging on a fence, which they said was an effort to intimidate federal law enforcement, which sort of, if you squint, you're stupid. But by that definition, any sort of protest is an attempt to intimidate someone carrying out their official duties. Okay. But my point is, like, he was already out, and they're going to quietly drop the charges like that. They'll cost them money and lawyers, but the union will probably cover it. Unions all over the country were protesting yesterday. My point is, that's probably the best they can do for a while, but they're going to do a lot of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're going to intimidate and try to scare. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people. We talked about this up top. I said some version of like, unless you got like a kid like me, it's like, yeah, that's real shit. I mean, I don't know if that guy's got kids, but I know he has a life. And it is very scary to have the full weight and force of the government coming down upon you, even if you know in the back of your mind it's an incompetent buffoonery, because you could rot, as some people are right now, especially when it comes to ICE. You can rot while you're waiting to prove all that. I mean, that's a thing that people know but don't really know emotionally or internalize about what I used to do. I used to tell this to people, like, part of the reason I had to get out of criminal law is there was never a good day. Ever. And you go, what do you mean? You never had a client who didn't do it and you get a not guilty? Absolutely. But do you know how much his life was ruined? Now, we had a relieving day. We had some good tears, but like, do you know how many times the fucking wife left? Do you know how many times the little boy stopped talking because his dad was in jail and it scared him? Like, also, if there was a victim of that crime and my guy didn't do it and I got him off, that means somebody got away with it. So my point is, to piggyback on yours, they are going to do that, and it is going to be an attempt to break people's spirits. And it's true.
Right.
It's true evil. And we can talk about them kidnapping fourth graders. We can talk about them rotting that father away. We can talk about all these things, and people will just kind of go, okay, but that's, it's not a lot, right? Or it only happened this one, or, well, that guy's got a day in court. We're going to try to get those fourth graders back, right? It's like, even if we succeed, we've already ruined these people's lives.
There's an expression I think that I've heard among lawyers. It's called you can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride, right?
Yep.
So like, I mean, the context of what you're talking about, ICE is purposely arresting, seizing people they know they cannot legally deport, that have like no deportation orders, purely to hold them just because it ruins a chunk of their lives.
And it is quite literally what fascism is.
And the fucked up part of this, like, there's a bunch of case law about this, where the government has historically argued, when it comes to immigration detention, that it's not for punishment. It sounds ridiculous, but it sort of makes a little bit of sense because it's a process to do a thing. It's not about holding them to punish them, because coming here undocumented is not against criminal law in most ways. It's a civil violation. It's like a traffic ticket.
Right. And if people are wondering why the government would argue that, it is because once you admit that you're doing something as punishment or for a criminal response, a set of rights kick in. Even if you're not a citizen, there are certain rights by being accused that you have. And so it's really dark magic that, frankly, the very liberal government invented. And now it's being used in the worst way possible. Man, we've seen that play out too many times in my lifetime.
Yeah. I mean, it was the Biden administration that gave Palantir the way more contracts. Started a contract with another pedophile company, Clearview AI, that's
right,
using facial recognition for immigration enforcement, and has already resulted in people that are born in the United States being snatched up based on biometric data and facial recognition because the computer thinks all Mexicans look alike.
Yeah,
the
computer's racist, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then to piggyback off of that, I mean, there's a lot of Bush-era doctrine, obviously, when it comes to post-9/11 stuff, but a lot of what Obama's administration did with that doctrine did provide the legal groundwork for what we're looking at now. And if it sounds like I'm being also esoteric, I'm not trying to be, I guess I can be a little bit more specific. It's been a while since I've looked at this, but essentially, if Bush said, hey, we're doing Guantanamo Bay, fuck off. Obama said, hey, we're going to keep doing Guantanamo Bay, but don't worry, guys. It's just an administrative hearing that we got coming up. It's not crimes. This is, don't look over here. No, they don't have rights because habeas corpus only applies in a situation where you're accused of criminals. Again, it'll get convoluted and I'll fuck up. It's been a while since I looked at it. And now here we are. We are using that power, however you feel about it, that power that was created maybe in your mind to like get terrorists out of here, or maybe to do something more dark and racist and nefarious, however you feel about it, that is now being used, well, to kidnap line cooks and 9-year-olds.
Yeah, because they're the easiest to catch. You got to get the numbers up. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're way behind Biden. I mean, and there's another thing, and I'm not even gonna let Mark respond to this one if he has a counter argument, because fuck you, Mark. Another thing I want y'all to stop doing, liberals online, is talking about how much better Biden was at deporting people. You fucking psychopaths. Mark, you got anything to plug?
Nah, weekly skews every
Check out-
Tuesdays.
Check
Yeah.
out Mark on Weekly Skews with our fearless leader, Trey Crowder. I finally have a show coming up to plug. I'm going to tepidly get back on the road, more full force next year, but I will be at the Gypsy Circus Barrel House, which I know sounds like the chuckle fuck, Mark, but it is an actually really cool brewery with a huge back room. I'll be there July 25th in Knoxville, Tennessee. It is my first headlining show in Knoxville in a few years. I expect you guys out. I have the link up on my Instagram profile. I'll be sharing it more and more over the next few weeks, making videos and posts and memes about it. It's July 25th. Listen to Gravy Baby. Listen to Putting on Airs. I forgot the name of that show for a second. And thank you all for listening to the Well Read Show. I'm not going to sing the whole song. We got to go. That's it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.